Hey guys, how's it going? Coach Tyson from Oxstrength, and today we're going to be doing a form check video. So I'm on Instagram ma story ma haleko थियो. Send us your training videos and we'll give you feedback on your training, कसरी technique improve गर्न सक्छ, what are some of the weaknesses that you can work on भनेर हामीले video पठाउँदाखेरि we got a lot of positive response and we're extremely happy that you guys have sent us a lot of videos. अनि there's so much video that हामीले दुईटा पार्टमा यो गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ because one video is probably going to be too long, but nevertheless we're going to be doing them in the order that you sent us in. So first ma pathaunu bhakole first mai, second, third, so on and so forth. And maybe around the halfway mark we'll stop the video today and we'll continue it for the following days. And of course, if we didn't, and of course we only chose one of your lifts in which we felt you could do a little bit more work, or if it's really good, how could you make it even better भन्ने angle बाट चाहिँ हामी हेरेर चाहिँ we've selected the videos, and I think we are going to be doing more of these videos in the future because we're getting quite positive response. Alright, Ojas, first video kosko cha?
So the first video is Janice Buzel, deadlift 170 kgs.
So yes, let's have a look at Janice ko deadlift. I think Janice is also one of हाम्रो clients at Ox. I know this.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's a deadlift video. I'll play it without the sound. Get the sound सँगै play गर्नु. Let's have a look one more time. Alright, so I think the deadlift overall is good. I'll obviously have a lot of feedback on your deadlift. Like, I'm not trying to nitpick what you're doing wrong, but just try to make some fine-tune adjustments so we can improve upon this. So the first thing I realize is that you are wasting too much time during the setup part. So like once your stance width is set, like you're wasting a lot of time here. Like you're taking, I would say, like 10-15 seconds. So I think यो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ especially when it comes to heavier loads, एकदमै धेरै सोच्नु थाल्छ कि यो गरे भने, then you doubt yourself, sometimes you're too confident, sometimes के हुन्छ, so you might miss out too many things झनै छिटो गरेर. अनि यो leg drive पनि, the more times you're coming down, every time you're coming down to this position, यहाँनिर देखिन्छ, every time you're coming down to this position, your knee को behavior is slightly different. So I would do this movement पनि no more than once. So does that make sense? So your part, so you get into a good position सुरुमा. So यो position जुन गरिरहेछ यो अनि बल्ल दुईचोटीमा तानेछ है. So this is something that we need to work on. त्यसपछि अरु कुरा चाहिँ खासै त्यस्तो problematic छैन in your deadlift because you're working with Ojas as well, and technically you seem to be doing fine. एउटा कुरा चाहिँ I would go to the barbell and then show it to you. तिमीले deadlift गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ you're sort of like in a sumo stance, तर pulling like a conventional deadlift. So हाम्रो sumo गर्दाखेरिको main objective चाहिँ भनेको हाम्रो knees लाई यसरी बाहिर लग्नु सक्नु पर्यो नि त. So your knees are more like this, and then it's like a, what do you say, conventional deadlift. So what we want to try and do is maybe point the toes out slightly, ever so slightly. Try to keep your hips in, drive your knees out, and then try to keep your torso as upright as possible. So I think यो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ then maybe we can get into a more better starting position. Alright, on to the next one. What's this next?
So it's Susrat Bantawa.
Susrat Bantawa.
So उसको पनि deadlift is 135 kg.
135 kgs deadlift. Alright, so Susrat. Here we go. Long hold at the top. Let's have a look one more time. I think you're doing a pretty good job in setting up the hips. You're not forcing too much extension on the lower back like we see a very common mistake upon many lifters. So you're not forcing your lower back, so you're naturally allowing your hips to go inside. Your knees are tracking out fairly nicely. The only thing I would work on is strength off the floor, because as you can see here, as you are starting to pull the bar a little bit, so your hips are rising and your knees are sort of like drifting back as you're pulling the lift. And then at the top, I think because your toes are so far pointed outwards, you're sort of losing balance at the top, and maybe if the weight pulls you forward or backward, maybe you won't be able to stabilize the muscle, stabilize the lift, or maybe you could run into the issue of pulling some muscle, hamstring, glutes, lats, chest, because of the wobble. So what I would want you to do is barbell ma gaera khasai dekhaunu parदैन your lift. Focus on the lift, don't look at the camera first thing. त्यसपछि when your hips, when you start to pull, so it's moving backwards a little bit. So think of driving your force through your quads. While we're here. So when you're trying to pull the bar off the floor, don't think of just standing up with the barbell. Think of sort of like spreading the floor apart, and you're applying pressure through your quads, so that you're sort of like squatting the weight up until about this point. So aru sabai kura thik cha, maybe toes alikati bhitra garnu aileko bhanda, and then think of driving with your knees up until this point, and then take the hips to the barbell. So what's happening? I'll do an over exaggeration. So as you're pulling, this hips is starting to rise. So I think that's the only thing that I would want you to fix, and then maybe point your toes in slightly more. All right, on to the next one.
So another athlete we have, Sagar Gurung, bench press 100 kgs.
Bench press 100 kgs, nice. Bench press is quite interesting because I think most of the time like bench press ma chai mistake huncha. Sagar Gurung.
Yeah.
SGRG ki Sagar Gurung.
SAGR.
All right. First thing I'm noticing is the setup gareko height चाहिँ एकदमै low रहेछ के. So यो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ it's almost like a half rep. Nice big arch. Toes still on the floor. All right. Decent. Alright, so bench गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ obviously I can see a lot of things here that we could correct upon, and I'll go over the major ones only because of time constraints, and your video ko main purpose त्यो पनि हैन. We're just looking at what's the biggest thing that we need to focus on. So I think you get into a quite nice arch. Your neck here is planted on the bench, so keep that good attributes. Your wrist is quite nicely stacked with the elbows and your shoulders. That's quite nice as well. One thing I noticed is like your feet a bit too shaky. So यो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ force transfer efficiently barbell ma नजान सक्छ, and obviously जान्दैन पनि. So we want to keep a very constant tension through your heels, almost like you want to puncture the front of your shoes and your toes are coming out, or you could imagine yourself doing a leg extension from this point directly into the floor, so that you can rise this part higher. So if you're pushing with your legs and then your chest and your neck is locked, your chest is naturally gonna come up in a stronger position. So we want the leg drive to be there. I think the execution of the descent is quite nice because sometimes we see over tucking. That's not the case for you. So the elbows slightly in front, but I think this much shouldn't be a problem in terms of strength. But yeah, I would focus on the legs the most. Let's complete your set. Let's see how we do as you grind. Your खुट्टा एकदमै चलिरहेछ नि त. This shouldn't be happening. Alright, perfect. The elbows and last alikati wobble हुने रहेछ as you press the bar up. That's because of elbow positioning, not being directly under the barbell. So you're trying to force the elbows to be in a certain place. तर your natural strength curve is going towards where it's actually strong, but then you're again forcing it. So त्यो दुईटाको combination movement भयो के यो चाहिँ. So I think you should just you have a good setup, so just try and come down to its original, or like wherever the bar takes you. अब एकदमै धेरै बाहिर लग्यो भने चाहिँ obviously we need to address it, but from the video here I think that's something that we need to work on. What's next?
So fourth athlete we have Rohan Mahajan, squat 155 kgs.
All right, Rohan Maharjan. I think the rack height again is too low. I focus on a lot on rack height and all these things because it's very, very important so that we set ourselves up in a proper position. So whenever we're unracking the barbell, first thing we want to squat the bar out. So I think because of the power rack pani alikati garnu milirako chaina that you're not allowed to put your feet forward and then squat the weight out. So ekdamai nazik bhayo ni yahinirबाट heavy feel bhayo bhane then the whole lift's going to feel heavy. So we really want to tense up the core and stand up very, very strong at the very start. So squat गरेर निकाल्नु भन्छु म. And if possible, maybe try a rack height higher than this. But if it's too high, then maybe this is the best that we can work with. All right, so let's go with the execution. So a lot of fiddling around. Elbows alikati off dekhecha. Oh, so this is, I think, close to your PR territory. So form breakdown bhayecha, and I think videos like this would show what your actual weaknesses are. All right, a few things that I noticed right off the bat. I think we've made a video on this as well about foot arch. I think we talk a lot about foot arch. So I don't want to go through all the foot arch problems, but on your right side, I see a lot of collapsing in. And normally, our right side ko external rotation कम हुन्छ, which forces our knees into more internal rotation. I think this is हाम्रो body को natural mechanics because I've seen so many athletes सबैजनाकै right side मा there is more internal rotation. So अलिकति internal rotation force produce गर्नु चाहिन्छ. Don't force your knees out on purpose, but other things such as foot arch यस्तो कुराहरु चाहिँ you have to force it out and so that we get a very strong powerful position. So foot arch चाहिँ मिलाउनु we've talked about in the squat video as well where we did a video with Nima Bhai. त्यो भिडियोमा पनि हेर्नु भयो भने हुन्छ. सो फुट स्क्वाटको चाहिँ त्यही भयो. Elbows पनि is quite nice. What I like about your squat is like you're not afraid to take your knees forward, which is a good thing. And as we're ascending up, we want to try and fight the knees in that position. So अघि नै हामीले deadlift मा भने जस्तै squat मा पनि you want to fight your knees up until around this position. So you go back to this position again so that you can produce first. तर यो बिचमा चाहिँ you're back. Can you see that? See? So depth हुँदाखेरि त you're in a good position. मैले भनिहालेँ हैन, you're in a good position. तर you go back here again अनि यहाँनिर आएपछि फेरि you come back to its strongest place. So why not keep the foot, the knee in the exact same position as you're pushing the weight up. So that's something I would work on. Other things, quite nice. I would also see if you could work a low bar position because this position, I think your upper back is sort of rounding, and maybe if you were to fail a lift, I think that's the place that would give up the fastest because of how the weight is moving. But other than that, so far so good. I think we're done with him as well. Next what's over there?
So Patrick,
right.
deadlift
Patrick.
167.5.
Alright, let's have a look at Patrick's lift here. Oh, suruma ammonia raisa.
I think your PR attempt was.
PR attempt, that's good.
Come on, Patrick!
You have the experience girl with the sound, man.
Come on!
Nice. Alright. Here we go.
Patience!
Patience, that's a good cue.
Execution! Patience, move execution.
That's a pretty solid lift. I think your deadlift problem to now because overall I think the technique is quite nice here. Your knees are out, your toes are in a good position. I think you do a decent job of pulling the slack. But then as we are reaching this point, as we're reaching the lockout point, the left knee is quite resistant. And yahanira maybe you could even pull. You got the weight?
167.5.
So maybe I'm sure I think you tried more weight as well, and you failed around this point. Maybe even 180 you could pull, but lockout garnu is the hardest part for you. Yo चाहिँ अब एक दुईवटा कुराले गर्दा हुन्छ. We'll go over some of them in the platform as well, and we'll see. Since you're very strong off the floor, and यो मैले अहिले भन्नु लागेको positionमा चाहिँ maybe you're not going to be the strongest off the floor, but it'll enhance a better lockout. And as you're strong off the floor, it shouldn't be a problem. So what I want you to do is use your glutes more. So you have a arch back यस्तो छ भने यो न्यूट्रल हो भने little bit more than neutral, keep your glutes in more. So यो गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने then the lockout becomes much more efficient, तर it makes the lift harder off the floor. So यो गरेर try to really use your quads and hips, everything that you're doing, but try to keep your hips in. And when you're in the starting position, you want your forearms to be touching the femur sort of, so that lockout garदाखेरि it shouldn't be a problem. So I think that's the only cue that I would give you, and maybe it will fix your deadlift for good. All right, on to the next one.
So next athlete we have Anmol Sakya.
Bench 120, Anmol Sakya. All right, here we go. You got a decent arch, wide grip as well. Foot. So this also probably looks like a PR attempt. PR ho ni haina?
PR होला, I think.
This looks like a PR attempt. Alright, so I think you got a pretty decent setup. Only two things that I would want to do, because getting closer to the chest, you're losing range. So you're feeling quite strong, तर तल आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ like strength is छैन, so हात आयो अनि उठाउनु खोज्दाखेरि चाहिँ then your hips are sort of coming off the bench because you're trying to produce force with your legs. So see, यहाँनिर hips अलिकति उठेछ. So only thing I would do is really tense up the neck, but force yourself into a good depression, but don't force yourself on retraction at the very start. Keep a flat back. So यस्तो हुन्छ भने back, chest यस्तो हुन्छ. This is fully retracted, यतिमा राख्नु, and then depress 100%. So as you're bringing the bar down, you should slowly start to retract your chest and then reach the barbell. So सुरुमा एकदमै tight भयो भने चाहिँ then the weight is completely in your arms. So यो भयो भने चाहिँ then you're losing tension at the bottom. And in terms of your legs, maybe I would experiment with something like front foot stance, so that your shin is vertical sort of from the side if you look, and this will also cause your feet to stay down the entire time. So I think a lot of things, maybe load come bhayo bhane it will get fixed, from the video that's what I see. Good work on the PR. Let's move on to another one.
So Akrit Bikram Barnawal, deadlift 167.5 kg.
Alright, so first thing, we don't want to force ourselves into extension. So because you extended position ma tapai basiरहेको छ भने then your glutes activation is not going to be there. So you're completely relying on your arms and your lower back and your upper back, maybe some quads but no glutes. And glutes being one of the biggest driver in the sumo deadlift, we want to really emphasize on the glutes and try to keep your glutes in so that you can track your knees out. So that's the biggest thing that I see. And as you're pulling, again, if the glutes are inside, then you'll be forced to use your quads during the starting position. And I think lockout is pretty decent. Lockout ma pani, because I think glutes ma tension nabhayo lockout hunu sathay you're sort of like falling down. Okay, on purpose I'm not too sure, but then I think this is gonna be the biggest driving force. So keep your glutes extended position inside. Keep your glutes inside so that you can drive your knees out more efficiently. That's the only thing I would tell you. Yep. And then try to hold the lockout so it's not glute contraction, because यहाँ मैले हेर्दा ठ्याक्क lockout गर्नु साथै glute contract हुनु साथै you're sort of like falling down. Like it's almost like you don't have any strength in that range of motion. I think when you change it into a more glute dominant sumo deadlift, initially you're going to be weaker because the glutes aren't very active, but it's a bigger muscle, it's a stronger muscle, it's going to be able to grow more than the muscles that you're currently using. So maybe a few steps backward to take a few steps forward. All right, on to the next one.
SGRG.
SGRG.
Squat, 87.5 kgs.
87.5, all right. All right, foot arch to ma bhandina because it's so important and everybody should be doing it. Let's have a look. So I think this video is a good example that हामीले back arch गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ it naturally forces more internal rotation. हामीले अघि deadlift गर्दा पनि कुरा गरेको थियो. So here her back is quite neutral, I would say so. अनि तल जाँदाखेरि knees are tracking out decently well, but then as you're pressing up, your back goes into more of an extension. यहाँसम्म it's sort of neutral है. तर as you press the bar up, the back is going into more extension, on the knees is going into a more like a internally rotated position. That's because the hip needs some space to move freely, and that's completely fine. And I think this is also, I think, very close to PR territories. So for your squats, I wouldn't add anything major because I think it's overall quite nicely. What you wanna focus on is if the knees collapsing in is causing your bench to plateau, or like you're unable to add load, or if your knees are in like a unstable position and it hurts your lower back, it hurts your glutes. Esto problem cha bhane chai, then we might want to fix the knee caving in issue. And if that's the case, what we want to do is when we go to the squat rack, अब तिमीले के भन्छ यो arch गर्दाखेरि when you're squatting and when you're standing up, let's say your knees come in about this much, हैन? So just record yourself from the front. And your front गर्दाखेरि let's say यहाँनिरबाट just basically draw a straight line down and then try to move your stance in. So it generally happens if your stance is too wide. So stance यस्तो wide छ अनि when you're squatting यस्तो खालके भयो भने you just basically want to come here and then it goes into a more externally rotated position, हैन? So यो एउटा problem छ भने चाहिँ you might want to fix it from here, because trying to forcefully keep the knees out is not going to happen because you're arched, your back is arched quite a lot. And what we need to understand is that we can force an external rotation only when our hips are inside. So when we're descending, we want to keep our hips inside so that we can go into external rotated position. But then to produce force, यहाँबाट force produce गर्न सकेन भने चाहिँ back arch मा जान्छ, knees अलिकति collapse हुन्छ. तर knees भित्र आएको inherently bad हैन, unless if you are if you're not able to progress, if you're getting into a plateau, all those things, then we might want to fix the knees first. All right, on to the next one. Good squat. I would say a good squat. Most would say like knees भित्र आयो नगर यसरी, but I would say it's a good squat. But then if you have the problems, then it needs to get addressed. All right, I think this was the last video for today's form check. We got a few more, maybe about 8. 8वटा अझै बाँकी छ है. We got about 8 more, so we'll post that video next week, even though we're going to record it now. But anyways, guys, thank you for all your submissions, and thank you for sending us your videos. And we were really happy behind the scenes because we weren't expecting this many people to send in your videos and all those things. But you guys know the drill. If you're interested in coaching with us, you want to get more about learning how to fine-tune your form, then we got one-on-one coaching with me and our team. We've got nutrition plans, and we've got a lot of affordable training templates. Peak with Ojos is also currently our newest template, but all of the templates are really, really nice. So we would love to see you inside Ox Strength System as well. Until next time, be strong.